Well, and we are live for the most wonderful time of the year because we've got championship level football and then also USC Cal. And then we've got the NFL this weekend as everyone is vying for a playoff spot currently. We're back. It's myself, AJ Ryder, and as always,
somewhere.
I got it right on the first try.
Okay.
My former tag team partner and tag team champion, Tyler Cintron, with me as well. And look, it's almost sad because football is drawing to a close,
Yes.
especially college football. And obviously, there's a ton to talk about. I mean, the coaching carousel this weekend was just as fun as anything else, which we'll get to. And then also the NFL drawing to a close. We're in week 13 now. It's a great time, but also a sad time because we're drawing near the end.
Yes. I think I tweeted out last week about how sad I was that last weekend was the last full slated college football weekend. But here we are. We got championship weekend. We got money to make.
There's money to be made. And it starts tonight. At the very least, we are going to cover every single college football championship that is going on today. And then if we don't get through it all within, I don't know, maybe an hour, then we'll pick up the NFL later because this is a massive, massive slate of college football, and there's not that many games, but they all need to be talked about. So that being said, let's just let's talk about how exciting the college football weekend was, and no games took place.
Oh God!
Because we went through the last 6 weeks of college or the last 6 days of college football, and we didn't play a game. But hey, here we are now because there is a renewed state of excitement in Los Angeles, California.
And the recruiting trail instantly shook. The transfer portal is wide open. Goodness gracious. I mean, I can only imagine. Like I'm a USC guy. You know, I like the power teams, but you have more ties to that program than I do. But if you would have rewound this show a month ago when they let Clay Helton go and said, take your pick, any coach in the country, who do you want to come to Southern California? Like realistically, I don't think Lincoln Riley would have even been in the thought.
Wasn't even on the radar. I mean, immediately after the Clay Helton firing, Urban Meyer was the go-to guy, which, I mean, as unrealistically as that was, Lincoln Riley was way more unrealistic at the time. And here we are with the savior of USC football. Let's call him that right now. Well, he's never coached a game, but he's the savior of USC football. Let's just say, because we have been since Pete Carroll left, since even Lane Kiffin left, we'll say, because at least when Lane Kiffin was there, we were a contender. I mean, when I personally was on that staff, at least we won the Pac-12 South. We weren't allowed to go to the championship game because we were on sabbatical. A sabbatical, let's say.
Give everybody else a chance to win.
Yeah, get everyone a chance. We won the Pac-12 South. We weren't allowed to go to the championship game, but we won the Pac-12 South. And then since then, it's just been, I mean, Clay Helton has survived more athletic directors than you will ever see a college coach do. I mean, it's crazy to think about. He's coached there for 6 years, and there's been 3 or 4 athletic directors. You will never see that again. I can guarantee it. And we've had to deal with that for way too long. And now we've got a guy. We've got the guy. And that campus is rocking right now.
Yeah, and I mean, the recruiting front is really where it gets me, because when I started looking into it, I didn't realize that that's where all those Southern California kids were going. They're going to Oklahoma.
I mean, the first time ever in like 105 years, USC wasn't in the top 30 recruiting class. Just a couple, like 2 years ago. I mean, they were like 50, and we're talking about USC.
I think I was listening to I found a USC recruiting podcast, among other things, poking around this week. I think they're ranked like 90th in the 2022 recruiting class.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this might be a big transfer portal year for coach. But we got the quarterback. We've been preaching Jackson Dart since the second we laid eyes on him.
Hey, man.
That's the most important position on the field, and I feel like we're set there.
I mean, Jackson Dart and Drake London was a massively dangerous weapon for that USC Trojan. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of them hook up, maybe one game. And the future is very sunny and bright in Southern California.
It's bright. I mean, this is brighter than it was when Pete Carroll showed up. Not what Pete Carroll did when he was there, but when Pete Carroll showed up, there wasn't this kind of buzz there.
No. There is a renewed sense of energy down there on campus around the Los Angeles County area. And look, and then and that set off a lot of moves. Brian Kelly, too scared to ever face Lincoln Riley as head coach of USC. He bolts down to Louisiana and then picks up an accent within 3 days.
I saw that. I was laughing out loud. I'm like, I could do it better than that for us. Give me a little bit of cash. Did you like my comment that I wouldn't get out of Louisiana alive?
Yes. I mean, Brian Kelly clearly taking in the culture of LSU in Baton Rouge, just picking up a Southern accent with the moment he stepped off the tarmac. And I mean,
but you look at, they're two huge hires, obviously, no love lost for Notre Dame from either one of us on any front. But looking at it, like when Lincoln Riley left, he took so many things with him. When I keep wanting to call him Chip Kelly, but when Brian Kelly left, everybody at Notre Dame stayed. There wasn't a shakeup in decommits. There wasn't a bunch of people jumping to LSU. It was just, okay, Brian Kelly's down there now. Now he needs to assemble the staff. They need to hit the recruiting trail.
Well, I think, too, there was I seen a report where the consensus was he was going to take his staff with him, and he only took like 5 coaches between the strength staff and then all of his assistants. Like 5 of them followed them there.
Yeah.
So now there's a bit, and obviously the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators weren't one of them.
Nope.
So now he's down there at LSU. He's got to rebuild his staff. I don't think this is the second coming of LSU, to be honest, because look, I hate Brian Kelly. Let's get that out there, obviously, for reasons.
Yeah.
And I was on the USC staff when Brian Kelly was there, and no one liked him. But him going down there, to me, it's not like the low-key hire that Ed Ogeron was, because Ed Ogeron, I knew who I was, again, on the same staff as. That dude is a motivator. He's a coach. Like he can make things out of a nothing program. And I'm excited to see where he goes next, to be honest, because I think wherever that is,
sit on the beach and drink some beers. He's good.
Yeah. Go to Florida Atlantic and turn that program around, and then come back to the SEC after a couple of years when you've had like a low-key retirement.
Or just count the millions from your LSU buyout for a while and then just go be a D-line and recruiting coach.
If there's one thing I know about Ed Ogeron is, though, there ain't a moment of his life he'll spend away from the game of football.
Truth.
So he's going to be back somewhere. I don't know where it is, but he's going to be back somewhere. Napier goes to Florida. OU still without a coach. Obviously, Notre Dame hired Freeman.
Yep.
And right now, the big answer, or the big question about the coaching carousel that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, is who's going to OU?
And if I had to guess, or if I was Oklahoma, I would go hard after Clemson defensive coordinator Brett Venables. The last time Oklahoma had a functional defense is when Venables was there.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, does he want to be a head man? Because I'm fairly confident he's the highest paid assistant coach in the country.
Well, I just seen something too, and I never kind of processed it at the time. It's been 29 years he's been a coach. He's never been the head guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. Like, clearly, it's almost weird to me because when we were talking about this personally, just back and forth, like via Twitter or whatever, you're like, oh, Venables, if they get Venables, they'll be fine. I almost think to myself, like, clearly there's a guy here with no aspirations to be the leader of an organization. It almost concerns me.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't, does he want to shoulder that responsibility? Or because obviously he's got the mind for it.
Yeah, Clemson consistently has had great defense.
Like, obviously he has the mind for it. And look, there's nothing wrong with being the play caller. There's nothing wrong with being that general for somebody else. But at this point, I mean, 29 years, and you've had, God, he's got to have a ton of opportunities to be a head coach somewhere, given his track record, right?
Yeah, I just don't ever remember his name being in the mix because, I mean, those SEC jobs open up.
But you've remembered his name for the last 15 years.
Boy, he's been at Oklahoma since Stoops started there. He started at Oklahoma in '99 as the co-defensive coordinator.
That's what I mean. To me, him, like, I don't know, maybe he's finally like ready to take that jump. But to me, 29 years of just wanting to be underneath somebody with no other better way to put that. To me, it just seems like, man, I don't even, if I'm Oklahoma, I get the hire if that's the case, but I almost even don't know if I trust it.
But I mean, is Stoops just going to keep the job? Is he just going to come back? Because he was going to coach the XFL Dallas team.
Dallas Renegades.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
he did coach them and he was going to coach them. So that's, to me, the kind of, I mean, look, Bob Stoops clearly has the itch to coach. If he's going to coach the Dallas Renegades in the XFL, he's now the interim head coach for Oklahoma. I've heard him say maybe a bunch of times that he's not going to keep the job, and that's not where he's at right now. But I would almost think to myself, when he coaches that bowl game,
it'll change his tune a little.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what we watched Favre go through for years and years and years, wanting to retire. But as soon as he gets on the field, man, there's a different atmosphere, and you miss that. And I almost wonder if Bob Stoops isn't like, let me give this like 1 or 2 more years to give you guys to find somebody, and then I'll ride off into the sunset and go
find
back.
the right guy, not the next best guy, but the right guy. Especially
especially with the way, he's coming back now. Obviously, I mean, this program, and it means the absolute world to him. I mean,
no question.
So why would you not be okay? So let me take over for a while until you find the guy that I'm comfortable with, you're comfortable with, the same way he kind of did with Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
It would not surprise me if Bob Stoops was coaching the Oklahoma Sooners next year. Not at all.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit either.
Yeah. So that's the coaching carousel, and we've already spent, I think, more time than we should have on that. But it's an important part of the landscape of college football going forward, because that was more exciting than the week we watched in college football.
No doubt about it.
I mean, it took over my Sunday when I heard Lincoln Riley was going to USC.
Yeah.
So here we are now, and look, this is the last, I don't want to call it a full weekend because it's not a full weekend, but this is the last great weekend of college football we will see until bowl season starts, and it starts tonight. And we've got 2 really, I would say, interesting games on the horizon tonight. And that all starts with who has been one of my favorite teams all year, and unfortunately they were just shy of the undefeated season, and that's the UTSA Roadrunners, who are unbelievably underdogs against the 8-4 in Western Kentucky, whatever they call themselves.
Well, Western Kentucky can throw the football all over the yard.
Yep.
I mean, and when I say all over the yard, Zappy's got 5,000 yards passing and 52 touchdowns.
Right.
In 12 games.
Well, they throw the ball 70% of their offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it's just going to come down to, can the Roadrunners stop or slow it down? Because it doesn't look like you can stop it. Can you slow it down? Can you muck it up with that run game?
Well, here's my counterpoint is the fact that they did before. Well, they slowed it down enough because let's remember, we're going into a conference championship game where the underdog has already beaten the favorite.
52-46. That's a lot of points.
I mean, look, I would imagine that. I mean, to me, that's slowing them down and letting your offense go. It just, I believe too. I just looked it up. The money is largely on Western Kentucky. 76% of the money, 70% of the bets are all on Western Kentucky minus 3.5. This game opened up at plus 2.5 for Western Kentucky. So clearly, everyone thought that if you win 11 games and lose one of them the last week of the season, all of a sudden you are done. Because that's how it seems coming from the public betting angle.
I would agree. And you see that sometimes where people are betting and they're like, oh, Texas San Antonio's perfect season is done. They're toast, yada, yada. Western Kentucky's just going to go in, throw the football over. And they might. I just think there's going to be a little bit more pride. I mean, their coach just signed that long, like through 2033. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It's in San Antonio. So I think that will play a factor into that as well. But yeah, if we're going to take a pick, probably going to take over the point total. I don't have it up here, but I can find it.
72.5.
Yeah, if you're gonna hang 100, last time the two teams played in '98, give me over 73.5. Give me the home team. Give me anytime I can get a home team plus points. We've talked about it all season. There's no reason for us to steer away from it now.
Yeah, this game happening at the Alamo Dome. And look, here's where I'm at with this game. Obviously, UTSA came out with the win, and I bet UTSA very much all season long. 3 straight losses against the spread. Now, watching that game against North Texas that cost them their perfect season, sloppy, shitty game. They never seemed like the team I had watched the last few weeks before. I don't know if you know, maybe you live in Texas and you're not used to the rain. I don't know. But you're talking about a team like who consistently through 11 games has been able to pull this out. If this spread was higher, or even if like UTSA was the favorite, like I kind of imagined going into this game they would have been, I'd be a little concerned. But if you're going to give me an 11-1 team and going to give me 3 points, I don't think I can go any other way, to be honest. I get Western Kentucky has been playing great football for the last 7 weeks. They've not only won, but they've covered every single time as the favorite, and big favorites at that. That is what scares me. But look, I mean, it's conference championship weekend. It's Friday. We got to play them. I'm going to hitch my horse to the one that got me here and go with UTSA plus the points.
I will probably stay away from the sides, but I will take that over. If I'm seeing points like that, and even Western Kentucky over this last string, giving up a lot of points to some not great football teams, but also, again, putting up a lot of points. So let's start off with some fireworks. Let's take over 73.5.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this came back to bite me, but I feel a weird sense of loyalty to UTSA, so I gotta go there. I gotta.
I mean, Rutgers is sitting out this weekend, obviously, so you gotta make up for it there.
I mean, look, there's been about 3 teams who I've hitched my wagon to consistently over the course of the college football year. 3 of them are playing, and 3 of them are underdogs. So I gotta go with it. I've already placed my underdog parlay a couple days ago, and UTSA plus the 3.5 is one of them. So Friday night, though, tonight, I guess, we've got a game that USC will be playing in next year.
Yes,
for sure. I mean, because they will never lose another game in the history of the program. And that is the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon and Utah.
You know, the back of
what's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
nope,
in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, should I go down to Allegiant and watch this thing live? Like, it's really been, you know, in the thought process, but I declined for the reason that you just said, because USC is going to be in this game next season, and then I will go to it.
Yeah. Save your money for that one next year.
This game is another one I have no idea on the side. I mean, we have seen Utah beat the shit out of Oregon. Yep. But we have also seen Utah at home be a completely different football team than they are away from home. We've also seen Oregon play well at Ohio State and then not play well at Utah away from home. So for this game, it boils down to just defense for me. I think the total's at 57.5. It was at 58 this morning. If I was going to lean anywhere in this game, it would definitely be under 57.5 points. Yep. If you remember, the last time Utah was in the Pac-12 championship game, the final was 7-3.
And also too, the under, I think, is the play. Utah ran the ball 50 times on Oregon the last time we seen them play each other. 50 times.
That's a lot.
50 times.
And you don't think Thibodeau and Lil Sewell going to remember that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's something to be said when you see a team and you're playing them for the second time and they threw the ball over you. You can make those adjustments, whether it be defensive schemes. But when you're getting dominated up front and you're letting the team just hand the ball off and beat you every single play, that to me is a very telling sign. I love the under. And what I've seen so far on social media and all the experts that they want to call themselves, right? Because that's what everyone is, even though, I mean, when it talks about sports betting and the people who call themselves the experts, it's like sex. Everyone says they're the best, but no one really knows what they're doing. So that being said, I still like Utah here, especially given the short margin. I mean, you're talking about a team who literally took the life out of Oregon the last time they seen them. Yeah. And I'm not saying Oregon won't play better, but I don't think they're a better team. So that being said, I'm going to take Utah -3 because I do think it's going to be a closer game, but I think Utah still pulls it out because what I've seen from Oregon hasn't been the most endearing thing. I was a big component after Oregon beat Ohio State, thinking that this was going to be the Pac-12's opportunity to be in the Pac-12 championship or the college football playoff.
Yes.
But then I watched Oregon throw up a bunch of duds. I mean, whether it beating Cal by 7, barely beating UCLA, who knows what UCLA is really, and it's not like they've owned the Pac-12. It's not like they've owned them. To me, Utah, better team, deserving Pac-12 champion. I mean, both these teams are not great against the spread, but you give me Utah in a rematch of the team they just beat the living dog shit out of 2 weeks ago, I'll take the -3. In a closer game, but still I'll take the -3.
And it's going to boil down to a little bit of coaching aspects. I think Kyle Whittingham is one of the more underrated coaches in the entire country. He consistently has Utah in contention every single season. Yep. Always has a strong defense. A lot of rumors circulating around Mario Cristobal down to the University of Miami Hurricanes. But he's also
just seen that come out.
But he's also won through these games before. He has this Pac-12 championship experience where he has won. I was legitimately on Oregon all week until I saw the Cristobal de Miami rumors start floating this morning on Twitter randomly. So I will probably, again, stay away from the side, and I will just take the under.
Yeah. So when you look at the last 2 times these teams matched up, you talk about throwing the ball and the way the Utes ran the ball. Cameron Rising, who I think is actually he's a pretty solid prospect out there. He only had to throw the ball 18 times, completed 10, didn't have a bunch of yards, but they didn't need to.
No.
They did not need to because they were 100% out-coached that game. Anthony Brown, 17 for 35, 231, and a touchdown. I mean, my biggest concern when I look at the matchups of this game going in is going to be the Ute secondary against Oregon. But why should it be? They just proved 2 weeks ago that they can shut this offensive passing game down and force them to run the ball, and we'll see how that goes. To me, Utah, I don't know. I think it's just the better team. And the fact that I watched all the experts say that it's going to be Oregon by 1 million, I've literally seen that tweet, Oregon by 1 million. And I don't know, maybe you haven't watched enough Pac-12 football, and maybe it does. Who knows? Because betting football this year has been just outrageous.
Yes.
Outrageous.
It has been brutal.
And if you've had a successful, betting season on all of football, college, and the NFL,
congratulations.
Because when if anything were normal, you probably would. D-Rest says he's an expert. He's got a 23. he's got the almanac.
Yeah.
Good job, D-Rest. Shout out, D-Rest. So tonight, I am going to parlay both of those together. I'm going to go Utah and I'm going to go UTSA. Probably UTSA money line, Utah points, and see what I can pull out because I would imagine you get decent odds out of that, but not Shady McCoy odds.
No.
But
I wonder. I tweeted at that girl and asked her if she could ask him why he never responded to my DMs after saying to DM him for winners.
Well, and for those of you who are watching or will watch between now and the start of tomorrow, we're talking about Shady. I gotta put this out there because it's been driving me nuts because I see it all the time with these. So experts, and when Shady McCoy, who I get was a great running back in the NFL. That doesn't mean you know jack shit about stats or spreads or anything you're doing. Shady McCoy put up a parlay where he won $55,000. He won $55,000.
Well, I think he put in 55 to win 39 or something like that, didn't he?
That's right. Okay, so he won he won $35,000. $35,000. He put together like a 6-team parlay where everyone was minus 3,000 or better.
Yes.
And he bet $55,000.
It was the weekend where, yeah.
And somehow found the need. The parlay was 6 teams. It was still minus 175. And somehow felt the need to brag to everybody about that. Which is literally the most heinous thing I think I've ever seen in all of sports betting. If you bet, like Alabama minus like 2,000 or whatever they are, and then you throw in like some underdog, like Houston, like at the beginning of the season being like plus 250, I get it. But when you bet the biggest money line favorites for 6 games and they hit, you don't impress me.
You don't
impress anybody. Yeah, like cool, you won $35,000, but you risked $55,000.
Yeah,
no one's doing that, man. which is weird because this was on like Bovada, and Bovada does pay me to tweet about them. But look, Bovada, like let's be better. Like let's be better than that shit. You can be on with the former porn star all you want, but it does not matter. Like it's still not impressive, and no one's going to follow that. So
yeah, I think while the trolls like to go against each other a bit in the sports gambling Twitter world, I think we were all on the same side against Shady in that one.
Well, I mean, look, that's what Twitter's become. It's just a mismatch of arguing and people who don't know what they're talking about but want to, and that's where we are. And it's not like we're saying we know what we talk about, but I do feel like there are times where I guarantee either one of us has a better handle on what some of these motherfuckers are talking about out there, because
yes,
god damn.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so put into a scenario where I throw out that same parlay. How much heat do I get?
Yeah. It's just
like bragging about a 6 or 7 team parlay that pays minus 175.
Yeah.
No one cares.
How do you even draft up a 9-team parlay that's minus 175? That's where I'm like, holy, like, how heavy, like, do those favorites have to be?
Like, to me, like the fact that I blindly bet 11 FCS schools and just missed for like $1 million. To me, that's more impressive than anything LaShawn Shady McCoy will ever put together in his life, if that's the way he bets, because god damn.
He will not be a friend of the show.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't care.
Yeah,
at this point, the Triple Clowns and DGen Nation, we could give a shit less what you think about us. Like, that's where we're at.
We are.
Look, if the company, and it is probably the last day I'm ever paid by Bovada, if you want to put out the porn star that played Nancy Pelosi and flaunt her pics, good for you. Could give a shit less what she thinks. I really do. And that's not a sexist thing, because, again, I try to get many women on the show who know what they're talking about as far as sports gambling goes. Obviously, Game Day OJ, Ariel, all canceled on us last minute. Now I'm kind of wondering why.
They probably watch the show like, those guys don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Which is fine. It's fine. Does most people on ESPN know what they're talking about? Probably not. But here we are.
Does anybody even watch ESPN anymore?
Since they gave Mike Golick the boot, I could care less.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike and Mike, and then Trey and Wingo was the only shows I watched. I once bid on them when they did the Jimmy V Foundation, like auction off. I went up to $8,000 to play golf with the crew of that team. This is back when I used to actually have money. I went up that high to play golf with them and just hang out with them for like a day at up in Bristol. And I lost because at a certain point I was like, wait a minute, like I'm drunk, stop. And I ended up bidding, I don't know, I want to say like $1,800 to be like an anchor for the day. And then we kept working out schedules. It never worked out. And yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, since then, when they revamped their schedule, the only person on there I trust are Mike Greenberg and Mike Golick Jr. Everyone else I could care less about.
I mean, I'll watch Scott Van Pelt every now and again. I like the bad beats that him and Stanford Steve do. That's fun to watch after the game.
I'm talking about like the morning slate.
Oh, yeah.
SVP doesn't have a show on ESPN anymore.
Yeah, the morning slate, I don't know. I mean, if anything, I'm putting on NFL Network in the background. I'm looking at Kay Adams mostly.
Like, if you're going to kick Mike Golick out, then have it be Trey and Golick Jr. I mean, like, that was the best morning show that they've had. Like, after you got rid of Skip Bayless, because Skip and Stephen A were actually awesome adversaries to watch.
But just
because you hate Skip Bayless and you don't like Stephen A, but you hate Skip Bayless enough to the point where you agree with Stephen A, and that's how kind of he got his rise to fame.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of political things at ESPN, but anyway, so we've only gotten through Friday, and here we go. So let's move on to Saturday of these games, and obviously the lock of the day is Northern Illinois plus 3.5. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, except for the betting public, who is 56% of the money on.
Is Rocky Lombardi not playing again, or what?
So no. All right. So hold on. I was also very confused about the Western Michigan game, as everyone else was. Rocky Lombardi, last minute, was taken out because of injury. The injury has never been disclosed, for as far as I know, because obviously you don't get the injury reports on the MAC conference like you do the SEC. Right. He was out for injury. He will 100% start the MAC championship game. And when you look at that game too against Western Michigan, I mean, the absence of Rocky Lombardi in general
was everything.
Yeah, look. I mean, it's a lot like the Packers playing with Aaron Rodgers and starting Jordan Love. I mean, there's a big drop off when you've got the guy, and then now you've got your backup in there. And Rocky Lombardi for them was the guy all year long. So, what was his name? Epple?
Yeah.
Something with a name. Weird. Yeah, something not good. He was like 4 for 10 with like 90 yards in that game. So, clearly, and look, there was, what was his name? Brown, the running back, had a great game for them. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns in that game. And their running game was almost the fact that they got it going without the use of Rudolph and the other weapons that they have. I think Rocky Lombardi in that game brings a whole new element back to what Northern has been. And especially, too, because, I mean, look, this has been – I mean, they clinched the MAC weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And here we are now. They're back at full strength, especially with QB1 back under center, Rocky Lombardi. I mean, I just seen something, too. Quarterbacks who have beat Michigan, Rocky Lombardi, 1-0. CJ Stroud, 0-1.
Say less.
Just saying. So I think I don't know why the line is this way. It could be a sucker line, but I don't think it is. Northern by 10 up in Detroit at Ford Field.
Yeah, and our guy Darren on Twitter that ties us in with Brad Attitude and Sigler constantly points out that Kent State is just a different team away from home. So this was at Kent State, be a different story, but them being away from home. I agree. I'm with you. You've talked me into Rocky Lombardi all season. You're rarely wrong about it. I mean, Western Michigan being the anomaly just because of the injury. But
he didn't play.
Yeah. With all things said, got to take the Huskies plus 3.5.
Especially getting the points.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the last time they were underdogs. Underdogs, to be honest. Miami, Ohio, I guess they were, but 1.5 that doesn't even count. But no, I mean, yeah. Oh, and at Central Michigan, maybe not. Maybe they've been underdogs a lot more than I realized. But look, this Northern team. Oh no, I'm looking at Kent State. Sorry. Yep, +3 at Ball State. They ended up winning that game. -1.5 at Buffalo. They won that game. +7.5. Apparently, Vegas knew going into that Western Michigan game that Rocky Lombardi was going to play a lot earlier than most of us. But no, I think Northern's been the best team in the MAC for the entire year. 7-4-1 against the spread. Kent State 6-6, and again, Kent State away from home is not the same Kent State team we see typically. So Northern by 1 million. part of my parlay was Northern money line because this Northern team, and again, it'll be they do find a weird because this Northern team has been a MAC contender since I was in high school since I got to high school in 2005, and they're always around. I mean, so they find a way to recruit like the Big Ten, the guys who don't make the Big Ten. They come to Northern Illinois. I mean, that's where they go. And this is a good team. Rocky Lombardi's back. Yeah, Northern by 1 million.
I'm with you there. I'm not going to take the money line. I've been burned far many times this season by taking dogs on the money line instead of the points.
And they've played a lot of close games recently as well. Winning by a field goal, winning by 2 points. Yeah, I mean I get that. You're right. But I think the spread is a safe play. Money line, got to sprinkle, or throw into a parlay if you want to boost your odds a little bit more. But that just starts off Saturday. There's a lot to go on Saturday.
Oh my God.
I will throw this out to you. What is out of the Saturday championship slate? Championship games, not USC Cal. What's your play? What's your best play?
Georgia first half. It treated me well all season long. There's no reason to come off of it. No.
What is that? What is that spread actually?
It's probably 3.5 or 4.
Okay.
I think Alabama's inability to run the football will dictate that game. I know Georgia hasn't seen receivers like Alabama's all season long. I get it. Heard it all before. We've seen changing of the guards a little bit this season. Michigan finally beats Ohio State. Oklahoma State finally beats Oklahoma to get over that hump for some of these teams. Same kind of thing I'm thinking this Saturday. Georgia beats Alabama, and I think it's convincing. I think Alabama's getting way too much love just for being Alabama. 3.5.
3.5. Okay, I won't touch first half. Are you taking them?
I'll probably take them first half and outright.
Okay.
I really wish I would have got it at -4 before they took it down when they were watching them play against Auburn last week.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just on. Let me hold on. Let me see where the public's at, because realistically, $83 83% of the money on Georgia. 83% of the public money is against Alabama,
which is insane to think, but I'm still not shying me away from it.
I don't know. I mean, it's at the end of the day, this is Alabama, and I don't like. Okay, you got upset by A&M, but to think that they get blown out, and to think that this won't be a close game, I'm not saying they'll win the game, because I do like Georgia. I like Georgia a lot. I think this is their time. I hope that this happens, but what I've seen them do for the last 5 weeks is beat really shitty teams. And they beat them convincingly. You're right. But what have they done, really? I mean, Missouri, I told you Missouri is terrible when I watched them play Boston College. Tennessee, I think they beat Tennessee in the all-black uniforms, which is actually concerning. More concerning than anything else when I look at that schedule. But like CSU and then Georgia Tech, I mean, the last convincing win they have is against Auburn and UK. To me, really.
I think
So what I'm getting at is, I don't know where this line is. Well, obviously the line is heavily on Georgia. If I can get this over a touchdown, I will take Alabama.
which isn't.
I still think Georgia comes away with it, and they end up going to the playoff. But if I can get it to like 7 or 7.5, which is again where the money is saying, and if it doesn't move, then I'll take Alabama regardless. Because I mean, 83% of the money, that line by tomorrow night should move to over a touchdown. If it does, I'm going to take it. If it doesn't, then it just tells me easily I might take Alabama money line.
Yeah, I just see Georgia as so superior to everybody else. I know the Alabama thing, they just haven't been Alabama of the years past, and I just think this is the year that Kirby just kind of slaps the Saban. Both defenses are pretty strong. If Alabama couldn't run football in Auburn and Robinson's banged up, good luck. You're going to have to throw the ball, and that defensive line is going to get after you.
I get it. I get it 100%. But, God damn, in a championship game, it's hard to go against Nick Saban. So, all right, let's split that game. Let's say I'll take Bama plus the points. Not necessarily saying they're going to win that game, but I will take them with the points. As of right now, we'll see where line movement goes. Because if I see 83% of the money going on Georgia, and that line doesn't move or moves the opposite way, I'm going to see that's a major red flag to me, and I will go the opposite way. Which is crazy to think about because I do like Georgia a lot, and I think that's eventually your national championship, no matter what comes out of this game. But as of right now, if I'm betting the spread, that's where I'm going.
I also have Georgia plus 275 to win the MVC on the line tomorrow.
Well,
so feeling great about that. Got them plus.
So you're biased. You're biased.
Yeah. Well, I've been with them all year.
No, I think it's a game they win. I just think it's close to the point where I just believe Alabama will cover. I can't imagine them losing by more than a touchdown under Nick Saban in an SEC championship game this year. Especially after the Texas A&M lost, man.
Yeah.
I am okay. So a team I want to see be competitive in this college football playoff. I'm against them on the spread, and I'm taking Houston plus a 10.
I'm right there with you. However, I've been burned by that the last couple of weeks, and the only thing that scares me is those Texas kids going to Cincinnati in that just drastically different climate change. That is the thing that scares me the most about it. But a championship game where you're getting 10.5 points, sign me up.
I think every time I bet Houston, I've won against the spread.
I remember the kick return for a touchdown against SMU very well.
Yep. Every time I've taken the Houston Cougars, because normally they've played a lot of Friday nights and a lot of like weird time slots. So usually like on Fridays, they do well. Look, they didn't cover 32.5 against UConn, but it's such a large margin. Like once you put your second string in, I can't blame them. This is going to be, this is a championship game.
Yeah, and they've won, 11 in a row since they dropped the opener against Texas Tech?
Exactly. So, Houston plus the points. If you're brave, take the money line, but I don't know, maybe it's like me personally, I want to see Cincinnati in there for sure. So I'm just going to stick to the spread plus the 10.5 and hope that they lose by 3. But 10 points for Houston at this point, it seems like a lot because they've played very good football for 11 weeks in a row. So I am going to take Houston. That is the final leg of my parlay between Houston, NIU, and UTSA.
You're not going to toss Iowa in that underdog parlay?
No, because I think Michigan's going to win it.
Yeah, that spread in the Big Ten championship game is it's too many points. I mean, looking at it, it's like, yeah, I mean, can Iowa hang? Maybe, but Michigan just beat Ohio State pretty handily. Like, just
Well, Iowa's hung on against Minnesota, Illinois, and Nebraska, like barely, really, realistically.
Yeah, and Wisconsin beat the shit out of Iowa, and just
Northwestern.
Yeah, I mean, it's. If I was to take a side, I would probably take Michigan to cover 11 points.
It's too much like to cover for me for Michigan. I lean that way because Michigan's 10-2 against the spread this year. One of those two losses is to Rutgers, who early on was a covering machine. PFF tells me that Iowa plus the 10.5 is like a 3-star value, which is the highest they give. But I don't believe it. I really don't. Especially coming off of, I mean, you got confidence is an all-time high.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's the first time. Dude, Jim Harbaugh has coached in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like this isn't like me being the head coach of Michigan, and this is my first big game as a coach. The guy coached in the NFL. He's won an NFC championship, he coached in a Super Bowl. I think Michigan is going to be more ready. I think that defensive line is just going to toss Iowa around, do whatever they want. Like this might be like those old Ohio State blowouts against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think Michigan or Iowa is largely led by their defense.
Yes.
And I don't know if they can, like, we've seen them play like these really close games against a lot of the Big Ten, teams out there. I don't know if they can hold Michigan to like the 14 points where they keep it close.
Yep.
Or the 21 points and they score 10. I don't think that's the case here. I just think that Michigan is on another level right now.
Yes. I think they're going to be ready. I really do. They have too many great players. They can run the shit out of the football. I just don't see Iowa doing much here. They're not the 13th best team in the country either.
No. Yeah. I mean, 10-2, I get it, but whatever.
But they're
I mean, you couldn't cover against Colorado State. You can't cover against Purdue. Well, Purdue played decent. You couldn't cover the +3 against Wisconsin. You got your ass kicked. You lost to Northwestern. Yeah, to me, this seems like a Michigan
prime spot. Like, yep, we're the second best team in the country. We're in the playoff. No question about it. Let's buckle
cool. It's in Lucas Oil, and it's kind of, I guess, your home. It's in Iowa.
Or Indiana.
Oh yeah, Indiana. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you got to travel farther, I guess. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan's going to travel a hell of a lot better than Iowa fans are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hell of a lot closer. Well, that being said, let's move on to Bank of America Stadium, where a team we've bet on quite a bit. Actually, two teams we've bet on quite a bit. Wake Forest and Pittsburgh.
Totals at 71 for a good reason. So this is going to be a 38-35 game either way, or 42-41 type. I just don't know who's going to be on the right side of it. So I'm going to take Wake Forest +3.5.
I'll take Pitt -3.5 then, just because, honestly, who knows? I think either one of those teams could come. At the end of the day, if Pitt won or Wake Forest won, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Not one bit.
So if you go Wake, which I'm a fan of Wake, I'll take Pitt.
I mean, I can't talk you out of taking Pitt. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the thing with it.
And I can't take you out of taking Wake.
I just taken 3.5 points because somebody's going to win by a field goal. I just don't know who it is, and if it's Pitt, I just want to be on the right side of it.
Yeah, I get that. 100%, I get that.
That might be a same game parlay. Over 71 and Wake +3.5, and then just roll it on to the final game that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Wake Forest the last 3 out of 4 games have taken the over outside of the Boston College game, only because Boston College didn't score.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that over didn't hit. Pittsburgh has been off and on. I would 3 out of the last 5. The over has hit in that game. And again, you're talking about, well, I mean, the games that didn't hit, I don't know, maybe they should have scored more because, they scored 30 against North Carolina. They scored 31 against Syracuse. Should I ask Pitt to score more? I don't know. But strength of schedule wise, which has been I think a pretty big factor in some of the games we've taken this year.
These guys got to be about the same. Pitt might be a little bit better.
Wake Forest is 57th. Pitt is 93rd, which
90?
now, after I just said Pitt minus 3.5 concerns me a great bit.
That surprises me because Pitt played Clemson this season and Wake did not.
Well, Clemson is awful.
Looking at it on paper, they're not as bad as you would assume. 3 losses this season, 1 on the road at NC State, not a bad team.
But I would imagine that people also realize that Clemson's still pretty bad. Realistically, if I'm looking at that game, I might take Wake money line to just boost up my odds of a parlay. If I'm betting this game, just taking a side, man. I don't know. Pitt's got the better against the spread record. Maybe I'd go there. You took Wake. I'll take Pitt. Why not?
Can't be on the same on all of them. But I mean, The thing is like this game is legitimately a toss up on which side you want to take. It just kind of is what it is on that front.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting in neutral field and you're getting the home team +3, which, it's not like they're playing at home. So the home factors doesn't matter at all. And there you go.
Yep.
So, all right, I'll take Pitt. I do like the Pitt Panthers. They do have just as many Hall of Famers in the NFL as like any other team in all of history. So, yeah, I'll stay there. I like Pitt.
Do you have anything early in the Big 12 championship game?
Early?
Yeah. Big 12 championship games at noon Eastern.
I'm OK State by 1 million.
Yep. Well, I feel like it's just going to be a dogfight that Oklahoma State's going to control. But I think it's time. Gundy's got them ready. And then I'm playing Utah State +6. They've been very kind to me all season. I think Utah State's offense is terrible, or San Diego State's offense is terrible. Their defense is awesome. Utah State's defense is awesome. But I think Utah State's quarterback, what is it, Logan Bonner or Luke Bonner? I think he can scrape up enough to at least cover 6. That San Diego State defense is really good.
The defensive line is very good.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Logan Bonner. Secondary, not so much. You're siding with Utah State?
Yes, they've treated me very well this season.
7 or 6.5. Yeah, I would go there. I'm looking at the matchups right now. Outside of the San Diego State defensive line, which could have a field day, realistically, against what I'm looking at for the Utah State offensive line, I don't see a whole lot of Utah State's defense. I will take a good quarterback with a shitty offensive line over a good offensive line with a shitty quarterback.
Yep.
So I will go with them to cover the 6.5.
You got any action in the Sun Belt, or do you not care in any capacity?
Oh, no, we got to talk about it. I said we're going to talk about it.
Well, that's our final game before we head to the main event. I actually like Louisiana outright. I don't understand how the 3-point underdogs. Napier's coaching the game. It's at home. This is an 11-1 team. Like, I feel like he's going to have these kids ready. With them allowing him to coach this game, I think he's going to want to go out with a nice exclamation point for everything he's done for that program. So I love Louisiana State. Keep the points. I'll take a money line.
Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, were my offensive coordinator once left to go be the quarterback coach at Louisiana Lafayette when I was a freshman in college. Oh. I did not prepare to look at this game whatsoever because I was hoping we'd stay away from it. But I guess I did say we were going to talk about everything. Fuck it. Give me App State. App State getting 3. Give me to me money line. Why not? Oh no,
I just don't know enough.
Give me the 3.
I don't know enough about both teams, but I just think Napier wanting to leave with an exclamation point is going to be.
Yeah, but you got a coach leaving though, and everyone knows he's leaving.
Still.
I feel like that's a big.
But there's a difference of, do we know if he's leaving or do we know that this is his last game? I think that's good.
I think you know he's leaving. A lot of great offense. Oh wow. PFF grades their wow. Ooh, okay. Yeah, never mind. Give me Louisiana Lafayette. PFF grades their right tackle the first out of the country.
Ooh.
Their left tackle the 9th in all of the country. Their left guard 2nd in the country at guard. Their right guard 4th in the country at guard, and their center 38th in the country at guard or at center.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Did not know that.
I have not seen that ever. And I mean, the Cajuns defense doesn't look too bad. Oh yeah. Louisiana in a row by 100. How are they only 5-7 against the spread? I think they should beat everybody.
Well, they had so much preseason hype because they beat those Big 12 teams last season.
Right. 100 strength of schedule. App State 103. Them 127. I mean, but you still have the 17th ranked defense in the country, power ranking wise, and 36th offense power ranking wise. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in. Also, another team who has not lost since week 1 and when they lost to Texas. They haven't played anybody super great, but yeah. All right. Louisiana Lafayette, let's do it.
So do you want to go to the main event now? The final game of the day.
Yeah. Got it.
8 p.m. Pacific time on Fox Sports 1. You don't think that the USC Trojans are going to be so amply fired up to start next season with a win Saturday night in Berkeley? I think you were completely out of your mind.
So obviously Lincoln Riley will not coach this game. His first game is going to be next year. Dante Williams is still there, but Dante Williams has been
program back.
He's a very underrated guy too, because I think his first game was that Washington State game where Jackson Dart started and looked like he's going to win the Heisman in a few years, which again, now he's a lock for. I have talked to somebody who I lived with and is still a coach at USC about right after the Lincoln Riley hire, and you would not believe the energy on campus right now. That's exactly his words to me, like verbatim over text. You would not believe the hype right now on this campus.
I can only imagine.
And I'm talking about a strength coach who still works there, yada, 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 who worked there when I worked there. He works with the football team. He works with a lot of other sports, but the hype there right now for a football season that is not even like this one isn't even over yet. But the talk on campus is that they're already the national champions next year.
Yep.
So going into this game with a coach who just started and is not even going to be there,
Nope.
I think this program just got the jolt of energy it needed.
Yep.
To not only this isn't technically the Lincoln Riley era, but it kind of is. They start off with a big win. And I think it starts up in Berkeley. Send a message to the rest of the Pac-12. We don't give a shit who wins tonight. We are the champions from here on out.
Yes.
I think that is the idea. And I think they beat Cal by 40.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a rout. Like when I went to look at it initially earlier this week, I was like, oh, I wonder how much they're favored by. And I saw they were 4.5-point underdogs. I'm like, yeah.
I think it's down to 2 now, last I looked, but yeah. It's moves like that not only define a program going forward, but also just spark energy like you wouldn't believe. And I can't imagine this team not being hyped up for next year. Even the seniors who are about to leave thinking to themselves, like, well, one, they always want to go out on a positive note.
Right.
And then also, too, the underclassmen thinking to themselves, like without even having to play a game, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, we are it, So I think they go up there with just a sense of confidence that's unmatched by Cal, especially, too. I mean, Cal has been, I don't know, not great. And the fact that they're favored
is,
let's go. USC by 20.
USC money line right now is plus 165. So my plan is to win all of my bets.
I'll move the line to 50.
Yeah. Win all of my bets and then place it all on that Saturday night and then just watch the bankroll grow.
Just watch it grow.
Just
watch it grow. Yeah, that's where I am too. So USC by $1 billion. Obviously, we'll take them to win the national championship next year, plus whatever it ends up being, because obviously they'll never lose another football game in the history of the program,
especially the
Pac-12. We won't see Oklahoma in the championship next year or the college football playoff next year. Shout out Lincoln Riley. Sorry, bro, but you're going to be Missouri from here on out, which was one of my favorite lines of all time.
That was a good zing. That
was so good. That being said, it took us an hour to cover this. Do we want to move on to the NFL or regroup? Because I've got a feeling on some prop bets that aren't out yet.
Yeah,
I've been hitting on. Shall we go Sunday morning?
Let's go Sunday morning because I haven't dove in enough. I've just really been focused on tonight.
Yeah, because it's such a big week.
Yeah.
There is a specific prop bet that I have cashed in now 3 weeks in a row, and I have cashed in a lot. It's by a player I won't name yet until you come Saturday, but he's very underrated for whatever fucking reason. And every week I see his prop bet. I see it be very low, and I see him demolish it by a lot. And I will bring that out. And he's going against a team, too, this weekend where can't imagine it's going to be any better than it's been the past few weeks. So I'm very excited about this. He might be my favorite player in the NFL outside of any player that plays for Green Bay. So I want to wait to see where that is come Sunday. So let's do Sunday morning. Let's kick it off at 11 Central Time. An hour before
kickoff
of the actual NFL slate.
Yeah, and the Packers of Green Bay are on their bye week.
Yeah.
So just a relaxing slate to just enjoy some football. Yeah. Don't have to make any biased bets.
Even though if you're biased against Packers, you've made a fuck ton of money this year.
Yeah.
Just saying. But that will wrap it up then for our college championship weekend preview. And look, there's about 2 games I'm worried about. Everything else I think is a lock.
Yeah.
That being said, I'll probably lose them all. But I am super happy about my 3-game underdog parlay for the teams that I've rode all year long, because why would they turn me down, or why would they prove me wrong now? Any last thoughts before we sign off?
No, I think everybody should just enjoy the weekend. Like I said, like we started off with, it's kind of a sad. It's winding down after this weekend. We shift into Army Navy next weekend, yes, and we'll touch on that a little bit in the future, I'm sure. But then we shift into bowl season, and like this is it. We don't get to see USC until they play. I don't even know who they open up with next.
Until they beat the living dog shit out of the team they play week 1 next year.
So we just enjoy it. I mean, this playoff has been about as fun to keep track of. I mean, it's for the first time, it's just not Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State and then Oklahoma squeaking in like we've seen. You know,
and then both of those teams getting their ass kicked, and then we see 2 teams, and
So I think it's going to be a fun shakeout. A lot of things to play for. I mean, early Oklahoma State has got to take care of business, because if Cincinnati doesn't take care of business, Oklahoma State's in. A lot of things to be looking at this weekend.
Oh, college it's going to be great. I mean, there's so many good games. Not even focused on the Power 5 schools, but I mean, just look back at what we're talking about. App State, NIU again.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched an NIU game this year, you're doing yourself a discredit, because they've been a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to bet on. And then starting tonight, man, UTSA Roadrunners and the Pac-12 championship.
Yep.
So
let's go.
A lot of fun going forward. That being said, we will tweet out the Saturday picks tomorrow for sure. Tonight, I'm sure one of us will post them on our things. I mean, I'll throw them out there for sure, because I want to be right when it happens. So that being said, picks tomorrow on the DGen channel, and then we will see you all Sunday morning for a special edition of this show.
Sunday.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the NFL yet. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So good luck to everyone out there, and we shall see you all in about 40 hours.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right.